Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? Sorry that was loud. At least I think that was loud. I saw it get really loud there. Hi, how is everybody? I'll hear it on my phone and that'll be a good gauge. That was a little bit muted. I have a cat on my lap, which means that I was a little bit far away. But yeah, no, hi, how is everybody? Oh, speaking of cat, hi. But yeah, no, today we're gonna be doing shit with fish people. A friend of mine, Clockwork Stephanie, really likes the idea of fish people. I really likes Tritons in D&D. I cannot just put them in wholesale because of copyright licensing issues. I want to sell this. And so I can still have them hate the Swahagan because the Swahagan is in the SRD, but Tritons are not in the SRD, which means I can't put them in wholesale. I can't put them in whole cloth. You know, they're gonna have to be legally distinct. I can put merfolk in there they're just fine because merfolk aren't like specifically a D&D thing. Do 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 do. I want to play Red Dead so bad. Last night I was gifted Alan Wake, so I'm looking forward to put that on my playing list eventually. Speaking of games that I was playing last night, I played a bit. I don't know how far I am, but I definitely played a bit of Guacamelee. It's it's a pretty fun like beat 'em up sort of platformer game. Like it's definitely heavily inspired by Metroid. Like I guess in terms it would be a Metroidvania, but it definitely feels a bit more like if you mix together like a beat 'em up like Devil May Cry a little bit with like Metroid. I'm not really feeling the Castlevania Symphony of the Night in there. Right? It's definitely Metroid inspired. It's very good. The art style is fantastic. The gameplay feels wonderful. I feel like playing it like right after going through Blasphemous, it definitely feels like a much easier game. But I feel like that's mostly because Blasphemous is meant to be hard, like really hard. And so, you know, I once I got the controls down, like it's pretty good. I still have trouble with tiny little platforms and like floaty jumps, but like that is a skill issue. That is a massive skill issue, and unfortunately, I haven't mastered it. Let me try and find the Outer Wilds music. Make sure to have it loop. Make sure to put it down to the proper volume. Boom! Outer Wilds. Hmm. You know, I feel like I've gotten feedback that like about wanting the fish people, and two, it's sort of a nice transition back into like talking about Marrowhurst again. Because we do, you know, we went a little bit wide in terms of the lore. And I want to narrow it back down to Marrowhurst for now. But like I want to have a transition zone, and the fish people are like just the group of people in the world, so it's a good idea to talk about them. and they sort of have a direct like relationship with Marrowhurst because like their naval blockade and like all these things, everything that's going on, all the just like also just the shit and pollution and stuff like that from Marrowhurst and some of the other places around the strait, or not the strait, around the sound, is are like causing pollution, and like it's messing up the ecosystem there, and it's really affecting the fish people and the merfolk. I think mostly the merfolk, maybe. I don't know. We can sort of decide on that. There have been conversations about that in past streams. If you want to check out the VODs on my YouTube, Bajongles on Demand, they are just like in the live section, and also in the video section if you want to go back far enough for the world building videos. Water is wonderful. I have some things I want to talk about also, like besides the world building. But I will do that after I go to art time, because I wanna show off something. These designs are not final. Also, don't mind that it says elves there and that I'm gonna be showing you elves. The elves are unrelated. Make that invisible. Duran. Bam! Now Twitch can see it. I've had the grips of hyperfixation into my brain folds. I can't help but like get to working on a comic. Set in my funny setting with like the bug dwarves and the weird like Asdarkid kobolds and the plant elves. And I've sort of settled on a main character. I'm still getting down the design. This is them. They are a dark elf. The name is very much pending. That is sort of the genre of fantasy being that they are, right? Like they're an elf. And elves are plant people, right? They are to use a very nerdy, like technical term, like you'd hear in sort of a textbook, like revised plants of the Pacific Northwest Coast, for instance, an ambulatory fruit. They are basically the fruit, and I've talked about these elves. They're basically the fruit of trees, and they move around, right? They are carnivorous. They eat a lot of animal, right? They eat meat. They get all that protein and that fat and everything, and and all that, and maybe they're omnivorous, but I'm leaning more towards carnivory for them because that feels interesting, sort of like those carnivorous plants. And then like they get older and older, and they get more sedentary as time goes on, and then they like either go back to their ancestral groves or find a new place to plant themselves, and then they become an ancestor tree. So as I said with like in my server, which you can join Discord in the Twitch chat, or it's in the description down below on YouTube. I said this comic is basically going to be, imagine sending a baby to hell. That's the comic. So we are going to get back to this. I will now close Krita because I don't think I need it right now. And then we will go into obsidian. And then I think where key for the world. Much like Star Platinum, the world. Oh, I already brought it. I already put Tritons in here. Yeah, Tritons, the Merfolk, Goblinoids, the Fae. I put 7 Goblinoids, right? No, I haven't. But like the Fae, I, uh, ah, I definitely still have work to do. I think once I finish my adventure, the Goblins of the Moor, which I am making progress on, it's just been slower than I've wanted. I will be swapping over these days to working on that comic. But like I said, I want that adventure to be out there. Alright, Bajongles rotate. There we go. I'm a little far away because there's a cat. Mwah. Yippee! Hip hip hooray! Last night I was on call with friends, like after I got home from class, and I was playing a play test for a game called Ironclad with them, and I was having mic issues with both that and Discord, so I was worried that I would have like microphone problems on stream today, but it sounds like things are going fine. I think we're gonna start with Merfolk, because I remember a little bit more about them. Merfolk, much like Tritons, name pending. It temporary name. Merfolk, much like Tritons, can vaguely be grouped into 2 biological categories. Categories. Freshwater merfolk and saltwater merfolk. Freshwater merfolk. These merfolk inhabit, or is it inhabit? Yep, it's inhabit. Inhabit swamps, marshes, rivers, and lakes. As opposed to their saltwater counterparts. They are generally smaller and can usually be seen out of the be seen on the banks more often. Let me rephrase that. And can sometimes be seen on the banks. I definitely feel like I'm going into a bit more of a biological thing with them, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I will go more into culture once I get like the difference in biology between the freshwater and the saltwater merfolk taken care of, because I have some interesting ideas. Sometimes be seen on the banks. Let's see. Unlike their saltwater cousins, they do not possess. Yeah, they do not possess uh facultative live birth. Is it birth? Yeah, birth. That looks like birth. Birth. They do not possess facultative birth. Instead, they they only hatch from eggs in the proper conditions. All right, there we go. All right. Freshwater merfolk will I have an idea. I like the idea of sort of taking inspiration from like spawning fish, where like they have a spawning season and they go to a place, but sort of this is a specific example in my head. Uh of like, having a place where they live in the summer versus living in the winter. Hold on, my YouTube is buffering. That is wild. Uh and so I think that like they change locations between the spring and the fall, sort of like how spawning fish like salmon would do it, but like it's more of like an actual community like people have, like places of residence, places of community, these sorts of things. Migrate to their communities communities spawning spawning grounds. There we go. In order to have a safe place to hatch their children. These places ha us usually have softly flowing water and muddy banks to create or to build their summer homes in. They will stay here until their children are old enough to swim back with them, usually in the summertime. Which is when they begin their trek. I'm a Star Trek fan. I should know that Trek is Trek. I just thought it was spelled weird in the title of Star Trek for some reason. I don't know why they would ever do that, but that's what crossed my mind. Which is when they begin their I'm gonna say trip. When they begin their trip back to their autumn home. I think that it really depends, but I think that in the specific like area of Faden, right? Their like autumn homes are in the Sound. Like probably somewhere in like the southern part of the Sound. Let me see if I can open up the map real quick to show people what I mean. Rita, you've been opening way slower since Windows updated, so I know it's not your fault. Let me find you. I love that it's still called Pathfinder Hexcrawl Game Map. Because this is back when I thought it was going to be a Pathfinder game. Man, those were the days. Oh, by the way, I have made progress on it, so that I'm also excited to share that. So let me bam on YouTube and bam on Twitch. There we go. Yeah, no, so here's the progress on it so far. It is a big map. But like, you know, like stuff like this, right? Oh, you getting up? Okay. Love you so much. I will now open the door for you. There we go. Love you. My leg is going to wake up and it's going to hurt me. I definitely think that the merfolk are not a necessarily like super rare occurrence. Like they're not people don't like necessarily like notice them all the time, but it's not like they're an unknown phenomenon, if that makes sense, right? Like, how do I put this? Imagine you're living in a city. You know that bears exist, but you don't really see bears super often. But bears could be in the woods outside of the city, and you might never see it. But like, yeah, something like that, right? Like merfolk just kind of exist. It is a known fact that they exist, even if many people never personally witness them. It would be really funny if there was a conspiracy that they're fake. Uh, it, in the same way that like I've seen like birds aren't real. You know, like it'd be interesting if there's like a population here that like goes upstream a little bit, right? Like they sort of migrate up and downstream. Or something like that. I don't know. Well, we'll think about how it works with the map, right? Well, we'll think about how that works later. I didn't specify like which way they migrate. Let's go back to Obsidian. I think I made my point with the map, and I will now close Krita again. Unless I open up the main character like sketch page again, just to have it for when I end stream, because it's on my mind. I can't get out of my head. Get out of my head, man. Get out of my head. I'm definitely starting to see the One Piece influence on how I draw this character, because I've been doing a lot of One Piece fan art. That's not a bad thing. It's just interesting. But that's sort of besides the point. That's sort of besides the point. Which is when they begin their trip back to their autumn homes. I like that. What if I formatted it like this? Water merfolk can further be split into a couple, not a couple, a few more categories. Swamp merfolk, river merfolk, and lake merfolk. There we go. And I think that I will discuss those. I could discuss them now. I might discuss them later to get to the saltwater guys. No, I'll discuss them now. Swamp? Yeah, swamp merfolk. Like to be in the muddy and muddy, stagnant, and biologically diverse areas of swamps. Unlike the rest of the freshwater merfolk, swamp merfolk tend to be I forget the term sedentary. The swamps and wetlands where they usually uh where they find their homes are good. Uh Able to support them all year round. All year round. I had an interesting idea. I just had an interesting idea. What if they have a close relationship with beavers and their homes sort of are reminiscent of like beaver dams, and so like and as for like because I imagine like this hillbilly ass merfolk. Hey, this is my pet beaver. His name is Chuck. Like that. I don't know. Funny visual. Funny visual. In places where their habitats over are yeah overlap. I was about to say oversect. I don't think that's a word. I was mixing overlap and intersect. Overlap. They tend to have a close relationship with beavers. Their homes tend to be similar in structure and have a similar purpose of controlling the flow of water. I just got an idea for their physiology. I think they look more like catfishes, like a little bit. You know, they're a little bit smooth, a little bit not slimy, but very shiny. They like whiskers, catfish whiskers. So let's see where I can. Swamp merfolk take more out take after catfish being smooth and shiny with Highly sensitive whiskers. It's sensitive. Oh boy. My favorite Resident Evil character, Whisker. 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I have to play with you, Chris. Let me refresh. Okay. Swamp merfolk like to be in the muddy, stagnant, and biologically diverse areas of swamps. And wetlands. Swamp merfolk take after catfish being smooth and shiny with highly sensitive whiskers. Period. Unlike the rest of the freshwater merfolk, swamp merfolk tend to be sedentary. The swamps and wetlands where they find their homes are able to support them all year round. In places where their habitats overlap, they tend to have a close relationship with beavers. Their homes tend to be similar in structure and have a similar purpose of controlling the flow of water. They're cool. I might add them to Goblins of the Moor. Cause let me look at the map of that I made real quick. Hold on, open. I like making maps. It's in G for goblin, 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 goblin. Goblin, goblin, goblin. Yeah, no, there are like loads of places that I could put like a merfolk encounter. But you know, they count as people, so I haven't put them in the random tables yet, cause like they're doing the animal and monster encounters, and I don't really think that. I mean, they might count as, I don't know. I think they're just people, you know. Let me look up something real quick. River fish versus lake fish. I don't want the difference between freshwater and saltwater fish. That's not what I want. I know the difference. Saltwater fish have like systems in their body to either filter out the salt or just make sure the salt's not a problem, whereas freshwater fish don't have that. It's a little more complicated than that sometimes. I want river fish versus lake fish. I don't want fishing. You know, I think I may need to make a correction. Couple more categories. Swamp merfolk and river merfolk. Because I'm looking into it, it doesn't seem like lakes really have like lakes and rivers don't really have that different fish, like when they're connected together. Like at least that's what it feels like, right? Unlike the river, river, not river. I love going to the river. The swamps and wetlands. Yada 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 yada. Yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Yes. There we go, River Merfolk. Are the type of are the yeah, variety is a better word. Variety of fresh water merfolk that most people are familiar with due to many settlements being next to rivers and thus are what most people think of. People first think of. They migrate. Is migrate the right word? I'd say migrate it's the right word. I like the word travel more though. Because travel how do I put this? Migrate feels like a duty or an impulse, right? Like migratory birds. Whereas travel although like people migrate all the time, right? Like migrants, immigrants. Right? Like people do that all the time. So I don't know what I'm saying. A cat just wandered in and is now in. And so I am a little distracted by the cat. Hello. It's great to see you. Mm-hmm. I think I'm still gonna use the term travel though, because like, do you want up on my lap again? Is that what you want? Yeah, I figured. Hi. I'm gonna wait for you to settle down before I start, typing again. Alright, there we go. Alright. They travel. What? Let's see. Yeah, they travel to their spawning ground in the spring and return. I'm trying to find what the like what's their other like what's the other place besides the spawning grounds, right? Like what's a should I just say winter home? What did I say? Autumn homes. I said autumn homes. They hunker down in the winter or in the autumn. Winter. I think that like merfolk generally take a year to reach like maturity and then they just live for a long time. And there's this art piece that I saw and I forget who the artist is, but it's one of uh uh like a merfolk like growing up, starting off looking like a fish, and then slowly like the person pops out, like the baby, and then everything, and then like the fish just sort of becomes the tail of the merfolk. And I think that's what happens. Right, like that's an interesting thing. I think that's just a thing that happens with all merfolk. About 4 in 10 North American freshwater fish are endangered. Ooh, that's not good. According to a pan-North American study, the main cause being human pollution. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm sort of pointing to with this, I guess. The number of fish species and subspecies to become endangered has risen from 40 to 61 since 1989. Ooh. For example, the big-mouth buffalo is now the oldest age-validated freshwater fish in the world, and its status urgently needs reevaluation in parts of its endemic range. Ooh. It's fascinating how similar, like, the fish in particularly China and North America are. Right? Like, if it really feels like in terms of like species, a lot of a lot of like animal and plant species are just so similar, and like they're so closely related to one another. It is like so cool. We're like the two continents that have gators. Versus crocodiles. Caiman are also alligatorids, I think, right? Like they're related to alligators, but they're not. So I'm counting them, but still. Um, a lot of our fish, a lot of our trees, are related. A lot of their stuff does well over here in the Pacific Northwest in general. Like, it's so much. A lot of them are invasive. What like Unlike in the South, we don't really get a lot of like invasive African plants. It's mostly like East Asian and European plants that like really fuck up our ecosystems. Like Japanese knotweed and Himalayan blackberry, which is actually the Armenian blackberry, but you know what, we'll call it what we call it, I guess. You know, but like, yeah, plants like that, like they really fuck us up. Like they fuck us up bigly. But today we're not talking about plants. That's just my college education and what's on my mind. We are talking about fish. The gales must be able to diffuse dissolved gases while keeping the electrolytes in the body fluids inside. The scales reduce water diffusion through the skin. Freshwater fish that have suffered too much scale loss will die. I didn't know that. They also have well-developed kidneys to reclaim salts from body fluids before excretion. Ah! That's good to know. That is the man. All right, you learn. You know, at least I learn something every day, and I hope that you learn something every day as well. Once I really start working on that comic, I'll learn a lot more about like ocean and deep sea ecosystems. Because like that's sort of the main inspiration for the ecology within the tower. River merfolk are the variety of freshwater freshwater merfolk most people are familiar with uh, due to many settlements being next to rivers, and thus are what most people first think of. They travel to their spawning grounds in the spring and return in their autumn homes. Return to their autumn homes where they hunker down in the autumn and winter. God, I just thought of something. Imagine you just see an owl bear fishing in like a river or a swamp, and then they like ripping out from the water. They just have like a merfolk. They just have like a guy. Oh, that's horrifying, but such is the way of life, I guess. Right, like, are you telling me that the things things that would stalk a salmon run would not try and go after merfolk? Like like a freshwater merfolk? Like really? God, I'm way too happy with the main character's like face in the Folder of the Tower comic. I'm trying to make sure that they have a humanoid shape, right? That they're human, but they're weird. Right? Like the dark elves, right, are like uh uh they are jungle plants. They're tall and lanky and uh and weird. I think they rely more on meat because there's like in their native habitat there's kind of like there's honestly not that much sun when you're down below. You know, sort of like your typical carnivorous plant. I keep talking about that other setting now. That's not what we're talking about today. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I hate that I made those elves plants because I fucking love plants. I love plants, Charlie. Yeah, I love plants, and so I made the elves plants, which means that they're interesting to me. Like even more interesting to me than like the Faden elves, which are also interesting for a completely different reason. Ah. I kind of have less to say on the river merfolk because they feel kind of self-explanatory. Like, since I did the groundwork up here, right? Like, I already talked about a lot of this, and a lot of this just holds true for the river merfolk. There we go. So now we're on to the saltwater merfolk. Water merfolk. Much like their freshwater. Yeah, freshwater cousins. I think I made a bit too much of a space there. Saltwater merfolk, much like their freshwater cousins. Yeah, that sort of long pause. Hey, polar bear, why the long pause? I'm gonna fucking kill you. Oh, my throat and my mouth. Much like their freshwater cousins are split into two groups. Shallow merfolk. Or I guess shallows merfolk. And wait, no, they're split into three. Shallows merfolk? Open ocean merfolk. I might find a better name for them later, but you know, they sort of they go into the open ocean. And deep merfolk. You know, merfolk that live in the depths of the ocean, the abyss and stuff like that. Yeah, I think these ones are fucking weird. These ones are fucking weird. Shallows merfolk. If closest to shore, or live in the shallows and in reefs, both coral and oyster. Oh no, both coral and shellfish. Reefs? And are impacted much more by the actions of people. Of people on land, because the merfolk are people. Actually, the people on land. Of terrestrial people. Let me put something more up here. Saltwater merfolk have adapted. I either facultative live birth or let me look something up. Facultative live birth. No, I don't want parthenogenesis. I don't want facultative cloning. All right, I might, you know, I might start pulling out the bullshit scientific terms. Thank you, Wikipedia. Ovoviviparity, which basically ovoparity and viviparity are the two separate tracks of giving birth to offspring. Oviparity or oviparity, whichever, it's sort of either or, is eggs. Egg birth. Viviparity is live birth like mammals or some fish. Or dedicated viviparity, depending on the type of merfolk. Thank you very much, Wikipedia. You once again get me through many a time. Actually, oviviparity is sort of a bridge between where, like, I might not use that, but I still will use viviparity, because that's that. Either facultative live birth or dedicated. You know what? I won't use viviparity, but you learned a word today. Depending on the type of merfolk. Are the variety that possess that possess facultative live birth. This is as a response to external and environmental conditions. There we go. Alrighty. Usually a warning sign when they begin to see when these merfolk begin to see way more live births, suggesting the lack of consistent suggesting a severe lack of consistency in their environment, such as the civil war ravaging the kingdom. There we go. There's a theory about why mammals sort of had this uptick after the KT extinction. It is still a theory, so I don't want to necessarily put my stake in it, but I'm going to use the theory for my own purposes here. Is that when resources were scarce and things were uncertain after, you know, the mass extinction, the ecosystems were just not there yet because everything sort of died off. Uh, you know, the live birth allowed, like, you know, mammals such as, you know, placental mammals and marsupials to, you know, keep carrying their children to like as they like you know as they move to find places where they could, you know, find food. And so I think that this is sort of a similar thing but facultative with these merfolk. And so you can tell that an environment is doing better when they're laying more eggs, basically. Hmm. I think that's good on Shadow's merfolk, so I'm going to uh go now with open ocean merfolk. Live, as the name suggests, in the open ocean. These merfolk are globe uh tra globetrotters. Okay, yeah, my number lock got turned funky. Turned funky and fresh. Open ocean merfolk live, as the name suggests, in the open ocean. These merfolk are globetrotters. Traveling alongside other migrating ocean life as the seasons shift. And these merfolk have a particular fondness for smaller whales and or for porpoises and other small cetaceans. Of course, that's not how it's spelled. Cetaceans. Cetaceans, yes. Sometimes I say things weird to hopefully understand how they're actually spelled. Whom they treat much like a reindeer herder. Would treat their animals. Uh actually no, let me not specify that as like as specific as Whom they treat much like a... Actually, no, 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 no. Whom they act as herders for. Herders and protectors for. I like that idea. I love the idea of whale herding merfolk. Like that's fucking awesome. Yeah, whale herds. Much like a shepherd or a cow herd, or like a, you know. Or I guess would a reindeer herder be a deer herd? Whale herds. Which is really interesting because once again, whales are ungulates. And they're very intelligent. God, just imagining a merfolk with a big ass whale baby. Just like coming up and being like, hey, love me. I also got another interesting idea. You know how whales sleep? Where like they're just sort of floating there and every once in a while they come up for air? I don't think merfolk need to come up for air. No, right, so like they can just stay down there, right? But just imagine, God, just merfolk sleeping with a bunch of whales. I fucking love this. I love my hillbilly swamp merfolk. I love my open ocean like whale herd. Merfolk, like this is great. And this is completely separate from the Triton, by the way. I think they know each other, but I think the Tritons have a different deal going on. Bobbing up and down in the water column. In perfect unison. Deep merfolk. Deep merfolk. Not much is known about these elusive individuals. Something I like about like all this is this also gives room to talk about specific merfolk cultures, right? Because like these are just like, how do I put this? These are species of merfolk. There are probably a bunch of groups within them that do their own thing, right? My headphones are falling. Oh, my anarchy symbol. All right, headphones back on. not much is known about the deep merfolk. I need to capitalize that merfolk, as they are very remote and elusive. What is known about them comes from dead individuals that wash ashore. And from rare accounts, who claim to see their lights below the waves. Is merfolk use bioluminescence. I forget how to spell this because it's been forever. I've forgotten S. I was actually doing pretty good, I think. These merfolk use bioluminescence to both communicate or to communicate, lure in prey, and confuse predators. They are as striking as they are bizarre compared to the rest of their relatives. Lives in the deep ocean have caused them to adapt. No, that's a boring sentence. For what we know of them, we know even less about the abyssal world they inhabit. There we go. Or for what is known of them, even less can be gleaned. That's not how you spell gleaned. Gleaned. You know, if I added an R instead of the L there, it could have been greened. I'm so fucking green. And about the abyssal world they inhabit. I'm very happy with this when it comes to the merfolk. I think once I get back, by the way, I'm gonna be right back. Once I get back, we will be doing Triton name pending proper. So sit back, relax, enjoy the music, maybe get up, get a snack, get a drink. As I put on the BRB text, I will return shortly. Alrighty, I have returned. Let me get that. Let me lower my volume on my phone before I blast my ears into next week. Alrighty, there we go. And let me grab some water. I've been mysteriously expunged of a lot of it. Ah, bam. Wham, bam, shang-a-lang, and no, hey. Alrighty, like I said, we'll be going on to Tritons now. I think a big distinction with Merfolk and Triton, besides Triton obviously like having more limbs because they're people fish, not fish. How do I put this? They're people fish, not fish people. No, other way around. They're fish people, not people fish, like the merfolk are people fish. My brain, it melted for a moment. What should we do with the Tritons now? What to do? Because I definitely think right the Tritons have bigger cities, right? They are more isolated from the surface world than like merfolk in general, I think, because again, freshwater merfolk and also the shallows merfolk and open ocean merfolk probably like get seen in the same way that whales and porpoises get seen. While the the add link merfolk. Let me press this magic wand, because it's very pretty. Ooh, the graph. And then it splits out like that. As it's very cool. It's very cool. The Dawn Society. I should probably sort that into the cyan. Might be a good idea. Might be a good idea. I don't know. Maybe. Hmm. Our residents of the world and deeply ingrained in the ecosystems therein. Tritons, name pending. See themselves as the creatures in the deep, the protectors of the realm against all things calamitous. They are very isolationist and look down on others, especially the people on land. I don't know how much this is similar to trends or different. I'm just sort of going off of what's coming out of my mind. Like Tritons in DnD Forgotten Realms. You know, the he said she said bullshit. Popping my back. I didn't take my sneakers off. I am Sneakers O'Toole. They are isolationists and look down on others, especially the people on land, who they believe know nothing of the true horrors of reality. They believe that they were created by one of their gods for this purpose, and so they tend to take it very seriously. the group of people that they have the best relationship with is happens to be the merfolk. Open sea merfolk. Who are seen as pleasant visitors and traders of goods. Tritons have a very tense relationship with the deep merfolk, whom they don't understand and see as generally untrustworthy. The Tritons do not as a general rule, though some individuals have made the mistake. As a general rule, Tritons avoid involvement with aquatic fae. I mean, at length. Bam, bam, bam. There we go. All right, I realized I did not make a mistake. I was just flubbing a little. I was just flubbing about. Hmm. So some individuals have made yeah made the mistake of doing so. And I guess I'll go more into I mean, I guess I'll have to go more into the Fae in this Fae themed game. This Fae themed setting, I guess. I mean, I guess I'll go into it or whatever. It's not like I love it or anything. It's not like this is fucking awesome. Let me readjust the aspect ratio. L plus aspect ratio. I will do that on YouTube later. Alright. Some individuals have made the mistake of doing so. That is... Oh, that's why that happened. Titans tend to live in large fortress cities far from the shore. And, military has one L. Military duty is mandatory. For every individual who reaches adult age. Hey Gremlin, how's it going? I'm writing about Tritons and merfolk and shit. I have so far created like freshwater merfolk and saltwater merfolk that are sort of split into different groups. Like there's the swamp ones which are really cool. There's like the river ones which sort of migrate, sort of like your classic salmon or you know, other such fish. Going from like spring to autumn homes, basically. Sort of like a lot of people do. I've done stuff for like the saltwater merfolk where like there's a group that I really like. They're sort of my favorite so far. They're basically like migrating herders of like porpoises and other small whales. So they're like migratory whale herds. And like I just think that is absolutely wonderful. And now I'm sort of contrasting them with Tritons. I will change the name because which is the coast. But yeah, for now I'm working with the name Triton. And basically with Triton so far, I want to keep sort of the more militaristic, like isolationist sort of sort of idea of them, right? Like they believe that they were purpose made by one of their gods to do this, and so they take it very seriously. They have like mandatory military uh like enlistment, right? They like enlistment. You have to enlist in their military if you reach adult age, and they live in their funny fortresses because they're sort of like, if you know what we fight every day, like that sort of energy. They like the merfolk though, generally. Not always. Like they don't really like the deep merfolk, who are they see as untrustworthy generally. Whether or not that's true is not relevant here. What does matter is that that's what they think. So, I don't know if you're here for me talking about this, but I've definitely brought up wanting to run a Traveler game before. A Traveler the RPG, doing some fucking like Farscape, fucking Firefly, like Star Trek bullshit. Uh, I have a couple of adventures that I have in mind. One was free, so I get to do that one just automatically, but I can't find a copy of the other one that I want to run. So I'm gonna wait until I can, afford it. Because, it's good to support people. It's just, I really want to run the game. Because it's some real, like, it's that pure distilled spacetism, like that's what the system is. Yeah, like it's not realistic, but it has stuff like ship management with dedicated ship roles. It has like trading, and you can do ship shares, and you can basically like uh 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 do speculative market shit with products, and you could go, like, you could do that, or you could go on like uh, your typical like pulpy like sci-fi adventure where you like fight space pirates and aliens in the distant stars, and like it's really cool. It's really really cool. I want to play it so bad. I want to run it, rather. Rolling around at the speed of sound, got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. As it goes. In the wise words of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic D Hedgehog, favorite One Piece character. But where were we? Also, I don't know how long, like, between me seeing your message and you posting it. I hope it wasn't too far. Somebody unsubscribed from my YouTube. Not important, it's just a fun little fact. I think I'm gonna switch to my Twitch on my phone so I can see the chat better. So I can see the chat better. Oh my god, see the chat better. Alright, there we go. Splendid. Alright. God, I need that second monitor so bad. Alright, like I was saying, Tritons tend to live in large fortress cities, far from the shore, and military duty is mandatory for every individual who reaches adult age. Let's see. Those who who wish to go against Triton society will often self-exile and many will begin to them will go will become explorers and adventurers seeking a greater understanding of the world around them. Splendid. Let's see, the Tritons, I don't know if Tritons are global. Is actually an interesting thing. I think they might be they might be regional. At least like regional to the part of the ocean. Are in a civil war of their own, and both sides believing that the other has strayed from the true path. Alrighty, there we go. Let's see, Tritons are in a civil war of their own, both sides believing that the other has strayed from the true path. One of these sides in truth, they have both strayed from their original purpose and doctrine is doctrine. They have be as each side is being influenced by fiends and fae behind the scenes respectively. There we go. Wonderful. $13.48. Oh my god. I feel so bad. What was I doing at $13.48? $13.48. That's 1:48, I think. Yeah, that's not minutes and seconds, that's hours and minutes. Yeah, what was I doing at 1:48? Oh, that wasn't too far. It was just long enough that I was like, I'm still a bit of an asshole. Just a wee bit. Thank you, travelers. You're an amazing song. I appreciate you. And fae in secret, respectively. There we go. Alright. This influence is slowly changing them into new forms. The ones influenced by fae are more similar to the idea of tritons but a bit more but a bit weirder, while the ones influenced by fiends are more similar to Swahagen? Is that how you spell that? Or is it S-U-A? Swahagen. Hold on, DnD It's Sahwagen. S-A-H-U-A-G-I-N. Sahwagen. Now I know that's correct, but it doesn't. So that is spectacular, I think. I'm sahwagging my dick. Anyways. So more similar to Sahwagan. Man, me saying Swahagan is sort of like a friend of mine saying NLG instead of NGL. Like it's wrong, but it doesn't, you know, like it doesn't feel as easy to say as the actual phrase. Right? Like it's Sahwagan, right? Instead of Swahagan. I've heard it pronounced Sahuagin, and it's that feels wrong. That feels a bit incorrect. Like I don't believe in that pronunciation. Add link. Because I think the Sohwagan are an interesting people to talk about. Because hey, guess what? SRD, baby. Doing a little dancing jig. It's interesting that like I'm starting to add a little bit more like fiendish stuff into this. Like that's still not the priority, right? The fair is sort of the big thing, but you know the fiends are around. I might go more into the fiends. I might like codify them a little bit more, but that's not the purview today, I think. Time to actually mute this stream now that I'm not watching it there and making it audible, the YouTube one audible on my computer. There we go. Splendid, yeah. You know, like I said, I'm really gonna, like, eventually I'm gonna need a second monitor. I don't want to say I'm running out of steam, but I'm running out of... Gentlemen, I may not have ideas, but I have steam. Brr, 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 brr. Oh, man. See, the Tritons are in a civil war of their own, both sides believing that the others have strayed from the true path. In truth, they have both strayed from their original purpose and doctrine, as each side is being influenced by fiends and fae in secret, respectively. Or as each side is secretly being influenced by fiends and fae respectively. This influence is slowly changing them into new forms. The ones influenced by fae are more similar to the idea of tritons, but a bit weirder. Oh, wait, no, I realized something. The idea of tritons, because the whole thing with ideas and thoughts, they're turning more into the idea of tritons. While the ones influenced by fiends are more similar to Sahuagin. Brilliant idea, Bajoggles. Where do you get this stuff? You see, it's from my mental illness and being, I don't know, gay or something. I have no fucking clue. I have no fucking clue. Alright. Oh, boy. Mythic. I want to see what I've done there once again. Oh, it's all the way over here now. Is it because I deformed the Sahuagin? The Sahuagin? I formed them in my mind, and then my mind birthed them, much like Zeus did with Athena. Right hands, there we go. I wonder how much writing all of this adds up to, like, on raw, like, page format. Like, that is, it's something I wonder. And I wonder! I'm definitely starting to run out of steam a little bit. So here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. Giggity goo. I'm gonna go to my just chatting, and I know it's a little bit early. We've made a lot of progress. I'm gonna do my ending read now. I've been Bajongles. You can find me over here on Twitch, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, noon Pacific Standard Time. I'd much appreciate a follow. Speaking of follow, you can follow me over on Blue Sky and Tumblr, both at BigBoyArt1, username Bajongles. And if you'd be so kind, come join the Discord! !Discord in the chat, or if you're on YouTube, in the description down below. And speaking of YouTube, hi YouTube. If you liked my stuff, or just like me, make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date. I much appreciate it. And so with that, it's been a wonderful time. I finished the Poco art, so, On Sunday, we'll be playing Poco, however long that takes. And so, with that, it has been a wonderful time. I will catch you all on the flip flop. Bye bye.